To show you how to properly retwist with the Dr. Locs line. Okay, so first you first use the pre-cleanse and break down all the extra buildup or any type of flakes down with the pre-cleanse, and then you use the Yasin shampoo, and afterwards you come and sit down and you will spray your hair with the Janine leave-in conditioner. What I like to do is spray it down into sections, and so I spray it here. I like to also give the ends of the locks some love as well. Sometimes people are kind of nervous about the leave-in conditioner because they feel like it's going to be like thick and conditioned, like big, thick stuff, but it's really light and thin. And as you see, it's not overly oily at all, as well as like a good balance. So we sprayed the leave-in conditioner in that area. And now we're going to use the Imani locking spray. Okay, and then one of the great benefits about the Imani locking spray is that you don't have to, like, you can move faster. So by using this in sections, I can keep going. So that's all I really need. Okay, and I'm good, and I can just go ahead and twist this cluster of locks. So one thing I also recommend when you are going into twisting, make sure you're giving your locks some tender loving care pretty much. A lot of times we'll have tangles and the locks will want to become one, so they'll be clustered together. So when you're going into retwisting, you want to make sure you're handling your new growth very carefully. I would not recommend ripping your hair apart because that will cause breakage over time. Understand and remember that your locks is like a tree and your roots are there. Your roots are necessary as far as the support of the lock. Okay, so the more that you're breaking your roots apart, the more likely your locks will break and fall out. Eventually, not immediately. So my point is to make sure that you are separating the roots. And so here I'm going to go on and I'm gonna twist my first one here, and then I separate the new growth. And the lady that taught me, she always said you are as good as your tools. So I'm gonna use this ponytail to get the rest of the locks out of my way. And so, or you could also just push it off to the side. So now what I'm going to do is understand this. I'm actually going to show you the wrong way of twisting first, and then I'm going to show you the right way of twisting here. The wrong way is actually when you're taking the lock and you're twisting, you're keeping your finger in that area, and you're twisting, and you're twisting, and you're twisting, and you're twisting, and you're twisting. You see that? So that is, in my opinion, a wrong way of twisting your locks. What that's going to do over time, and a lot of people are going to fight me over this because they love doing this because they call it the no clip method. Over time, this is going to create a lot of tension and your strands of your hair will pop off eventually. How do I know? This happened to me personally, and over time from doing hair for so long, I see people that do that and I will show them that their hair is breaking off. Okay, so you don't want to create that much tension in that area. This again is the root of your lock. It supports your hair. It supports your tree. So you don't want to cause anything that's going to break that apart. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to do this the proper way. Now I'm going to take my finger, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to twist, and I'm going to move away from his scalp. So I'm twisting, and what I'm doing also, you see this extra hair right here? I'm actually wrapping that around. You don't want to trim that off because this is a part of your lock, okay? And so you want to twist it around, and I want to give the lock some love all the way to the end, okay? Let's see. Your goal is always to lay them down flat. So now I'm going to take my clip, and I always use a towel, so I'm going to clip this down on the lock. So you want this, understand, just remember like rollers. Think about rollers. So when you lay hair on a roller, don't you want the hair to lay flat on the roller so that it dries like that? So however you lay your lock, it's going to dry like that. So I'm my locks to be flat, or just laying down straight. So I'm making sure there's not too much tension in this area. And what I'm going to do after each row, I'm going to lay them and build them on top of each other. So here, once again, I'm going to make sure I give the making sure I'm taking care of the new growth, not pulling them and ripping. You do not want this area to be dry. If it does, I'm going to actually, you can go ahead and add more leave-in if you need to. And if you feel like you may need more extra the locking spray, you can do that as well. So I've separated and sectioned off what lock I'm going to twist next, okay? You see that? So now I'm going to take my finger. You see all this extra hair right here? I'm going to take my finger and I'm going to pull, I'm going to wrap it around. You don't want to cut that, you guys. Okay? I'm twisting, 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 giving the whole lock some love. And I'm moving away. So when you move away from the scalp, that allows the lock to be straight. Now, if you stay in the same area, that's when it winds up and stays in that area. And you get that big coil. Okay? So I'm going to take, you can actually use the same clip. Okay? One of the biggest mistakes people do, well, a couple of things. People will only twist this area and not give this some love. What you're going to find is that it's not going to give you a professional look. You want to twist the hair from the root down to the tip. Now, sometimes people have less frizzies and their hair is less frizzy at the end. That's fine, but you want to keep twisting until you twist all the frizziness, okay? And so, that is that. I'm trying to think of something else. Also, this is a cool thing I like to bring up to people. Always remember that all 3 stages of the lock process is in your hair. Okay, so you see this, his hair is loose right here, and then you have the spongy area, those areas where we were winding that extra frizzy hair up, and then at the end it's not as frizzy. Everyone's gonna be a little different, but it's more solid at the ends because that's how he started his locks. So the baby stage is when your hair is very loose. When someone comes in to get their hair started, we will coil their hair up, and then when they come back, maybe 4 to 6 weeks later, their hair will come undone in the shampoo bowl. Not all the way undone because it's going to be little coils in it. And so each time that person comes back, the hair will eventually stop coming undone. And when it stops coming undone, that's when they are in the teenage phase. In the teenage phase, that's when the person's hair is spongy. A lot of times people get really excited about that stage because their hair doesn't come undone anymore. So it kind of empowers them to twist their own hair now. They feel really good. But as a teenager, teenagers have the same size of body parts that they're going to have as an adult, but they still have to go through something. They still got to learn. They're still not an adult. And so, as with a teenager, you need to guide it. So with the teenage phase, I always recommend and always remind people, you gotta guide it, especially because the hair at that point in the teenage phase is very spongy and kind of big and juicy. What that is that it's hair. If you ever had box braids or any type of long-term style, and when you take them down, you have extra shedded hair that you're taking out as well. So what that is, when your hair is in the teenage phase, it's shedded hair that's accumulated inside those coils. That's creating the poofiness, okay? Because your hair is locking. And so in the teenage phase, it's important while your hair is poofy to maybe double clip. His hair is not in the teenage phase, but if it was, I would like clip right here and clip right here to give it guidance, as I would with a teenager. And with the adult phase, all the lock is more solid. Now, one thing about the teenage phase, again, you gotta give it all love. And a big mistake that people make with grooming teenage locks is that they only give the root and around this area attention, and then they'll leave the rest of the lock out as they're grooming that person's hair. And so what happens when you do that, when the hair dries, you have all this area nicely twisted, and then everything else is frayed out. So to get a professional look, I recommend, especially in the teenage phase, is to give all the locks some love where it's necessary. So here I'm going to take this and clip down, okay?